Hello and welcome to Crimewatch Extra, the programme that aims to show just what a difference a single call can make. This is Northampton Police Headquarters and I'll be meeting officers who've had their cases reconstructed on November's Crimewatch programme. The murder of Linda Bryant in Cornwall 5 weeks ago. The hunt for a man responsible for a series of sexual assaults on children in East London. And reporter Tyra Rafiq on the motiveless attack on a young woman that could have been mistaken identity. Now, officers working here at Northampton have been really busy following up the calls that were made to this month's programme on the first of tonight's cases. So let's find out how that's going. Hello. Hello. Can I speak to Detective Superintendent Chris Cross, please?
Yes, I'll get in touch with you. Would you like to take a seat?
Thanks very much. Now, the reason we want to speak to Chris Cross is because he's heading Operation Quicksilver. And in this month's programme, they asked for help with a series of forensically linked rapes dating back to 1986.
I was dreaming, and in my dream, it was as if the light went on in the bedroom, and it made me wake up from the dream, but as I opened my eyes, it was completely dark, and then his hands went round my throat.
Before you go in, can we just ask you about why you brought this particular case to Crimewatch?
We brought this because we've reopened a case, a series of rapes from 1984 to 1987 in Northampton, and we've only just linked them this year to cases in Milton Keynes, Reading and Leamington Spa from 1989 and 1990. We've been working on this year from April the 14th, and we're about to begin a profile-led DNA screening.
A composite picture was now emerging of the suspect. He's black, was then in his mid-teens, sexually inexperienced, was always armed and often agitated. But by October 1986, he'd grown more confident. He stayed and seemed to want to befriend his victim after the attack. Northamptonshire Police set up an incident room and a large-scale investigation began. 60 extra uniformed police patrolled the streets at night. But the suspect seemed to disappear. Did the police operation drive him into hiding? Were later victims too scared to report him? Or had he left Northampton? We now know he began to change the focus of his attacks. 2 years later, in the same type of terraced house, there was one in Milton Keynes. Then Reading. Then in Leamington Spa. What was the connection between these towns? And if he stopped in 1990, why? Is he in prison? Is he in a relationship? Or has he now moved somewhere else?
What are we now? Yeah, we're 70 and a half an hour.
So how's it been going, Chris? What are the calls like that are coming in?
Here we've had about 30 or 40. We're getting named individuals that are already in our system, but back at home the calls are just constant. We're just asking people, I think we're going to be asking people to bear with us because it's on a 10-line pickup, but the last one is permanently engaged.
And are you quite impressed? Because these cases are going back, in some cases, quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm impressed because before we started, we'd had about 45 calls, I think, during the course of the day, just through the publicity that went out prior to Crimewatch. So I'm really impressed with the number that we're getting in and the quality. We're getting them from police officers, prison officers, and from members of the public.
Are they saying something like, well, you know, we think we know who it was, or they're saying, well, I know somebody at the moment who answers that description?
Some of them are going by description. A lot of the police officers are saying, I actually dealt with somebody for offences like this. You ought to look at this individual.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're optimistic?
Yes, I am. This is the incident room where the calls came through on the evening.
That's pretty busy.
Yeah, the calls have obviously died down now, but we're now in a process of sifting through all the information. Roger is supervising the recording and registering of all the messages and any actions that need to be raised from them. And Sean, Shelley and Stan are involved in that process.
Our reporter Tyra Rafiq here as well, who's using your incident room for the moment. Are you pleased with them? Are they quality calls? Have they taken the investigation on?
Oh, I think they will. Yes, I think they are. There are a lot of quality calls in there, and we've had over 700 calls now, and we're still in that, obviously, as you see, still in that process of sifting. But there is a lot of information in there that we need to get through to help us in that profiling business that we said that we would go to.
And you did, of course, ask a lot of people, and these rapes are dated back to 1986. So you've asking people to cast their memories back a long way, aren't you?
Well, in Northampton, between 1984 and 1987, we're asking them to cast their minds back to. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I'd asked them to be a bit careful on the photo fit. The photo fit that was produced back in 1986, but it's a photo fit taken from a female after traumatic circumstances, obviously, and to try for people to look at individuals now to say that
They will have aged, of course.
Well, of course, yeah, and it's difficult for people to say that's the individual. So I just need to be a bit careful on how I process the information from the photo fit.
Right, so if we put the EFIT to one side, what are the main appeal points? What is it that you want to try and jog people's memories on?
Oh, I still want to jog people's memories on the connection between Northampton, Milton Keynes, Reading and Leamington Spa. And if anybody knows of an individual who was here between 84 and 87 and who's taken that route through job, college or whatever, it's those sort of calls that we're looking for.
And this is an individual that you feel will strike again?
I think there's every possibility that he will, and what I want to do is take that choice away from him. I mean, it's possible that he's in prison, so he can't at the moment, or we said before, he could be in a relationship, so he's not got the inclination.
The moment I actually realised something was wrong was basically when the hallway lights switched off. Even though he said sorry, it was like a false child's put-on cry. Something to start the conversation, perhaps. He said that he'd seen me around, he liked me, but he didn't think I'd go out with him. And he wanted to know if I did have his child, would I get rid of it? Obviously, whilst he was talking, I was quite safe.
We are looking to make those appeals to either current partners or even past partners and friends that are looking at this and have got some suspicion when they look at this pattern of attacks. And we were talking about an individual who in the mid-80s would have been in his mid to late teens. We know that he passed on gonorrhea to a couple of victims. Somebody might know somebody that went for treatment that fits in with that pattern. It's looking at what happened to these victims and saying, we don't want that to happen again.
Chris is also asking for a number of women who've contacted the incident room with some information but who didn't leave their details to call again on 0808 100 3131. That's 0808 100 3131.
Sometimes Crimewatch features cases where there is no evidence that a crime has actually been committed. Grazia Morton left her home in Kensington on the 12th of November last year and hadn't been seen since. Her family are convinced that she is dead. Grazia's sisters, Constanza and Maria, came to the studio with DI Rick Turner to appeal for any information.
This is the last that we definitely know about Grazia's movements. It's a video in the hallway of her flat as she left on Wednesday, the 12th of November last year. And this is her husband's home in St Anne's Road off Royal Crescent near the Kensington Hilton Hotel. But what happened to Grazia after she left here? This is Grazia's sister, Constanza, and this is the investigating officer, DI Rick Turner. Constanza, it's appalling this for you and the family. What does the family think happened?
We all think she's dead. We know the police have to keep an open mind on these things, but certainly all who knew her well believe she's dead, murdered.
Appalling for you. How is her daughter doing? How are the rest of them surviving?
Well, she's lost her mother, so obviously, you can't exaggerate the magnitude of the loss. And all the adults are obviously still very upset and very frustrated and very distressed.
If someone can help tonight, it's going to mean an awful lot to you.
It would mean a lot to us and certainly to Celeste, because not only now, but also when she grows up, she understands her mother didn't abandon her.
Well, even if it seems a very, very long shot, please give us a call. We have video of Grazia that hasn't been shown in public before. Did you know her? If so, have you any ideas or any suspicions? Did you see her any time around this time last year? And above all, might you have seen her on that morning of Wednesday, the 12th of November last year?
Rick, what sort of response have you had?
There are a number of calls that have come in this evening, but of course, as we probably thought, it is limited at this stage.
And what are you hoping for?
As I said on the Crimewatch programme, I'm hoping for somebody who may have seen Grazia on the morning of Monday the 12th of November between 9:30 and 10:30 around the address at St Anne's Road, West 11 in the Notting Hill area of London.
So what else will you be doing now?
We've got a number of inquiries that we will be following, but I just appeal to anybody who's got the slightest little bit of information about the whereabouts of Grazia, because as I say, it is so out of character, and she has left her child to come forward and pass that information to us so we can act upon it.
If you can help Constanza and Maria find out what's happened to their sister, please call detectives on 0181 246 0731. That's 0181 246 0731. Here's an appeal where a crime has definitely been committed. With more than 50 calls to the programme, these two have still not been positively identified. They are wanted for causing extensive damage to cars here in Pudsey, Leeds. They don't manage to get any of them started and make a run for it when the police turn up. If you can help, or if you know them, call 0800 405 040. That's 0800 405 040.
Now, just one arrest so far this month, and that was as a direct result of calls that came into the programme. A man was arrested in Scotland, but no arrests, I'm afraid, in the murder case of Linda Bryant. Chris, we're very soon to be bringing this to the Crimewatch programme.
Well, we wondered if it was going to be too early, and it's something I gave a lot of thought to. We wouldn't normally go to Crimewatch until much later in the investigation, when the lines of inquiry and the appeals we want to make are perhaps somewhat clearer.
But you thought it was worth it?
I did, because of the national publicity that we get, because of the importance of this particular murder, and the possibility that it could have been linked to the Kate Bushell inquiry.
Well, let's just remind ourselves of the reconstruction as it went out on the night.
This is a route which Linda Bryant took almost every day. Were you in Ruan High Lanes on Tuesday 3 weeks ago, where Linda walked down towards the Methodist Chapel and then left towards Trewogga? And were you walking round there at roughly 2 o'clock that Tuesday afternoon? Was this you meeting Linda with her lurcher on the crossroads near the chapel?
Night times is the worst. Through the daytime, there's usually at least one policeman, and at night time, when everybody's gone home, you're just sort of left to sit and think. It's a very strange feeling not having Mum there, because sometimes you just think that she's up in the other room or she's gone somewhere and you don't know when she's coming back.
Who are you appealing to tonight?
Well, Linda Bryant's killer is clearly a dangerous and violent man who has to be caught. My main appeal is to someone watching who perhaps either knows the killer or has suspicions about someone they live with or work with or live near to. Secondly, I'd like to hear from professional people, perhaps doctors or psychiatrists, who have or have had a patient that they think is probably capable of this violent crime. It's important we hear from anybody who's got any information at all. Well, I think the main thing is that we're getting people's names coming in. That's the important thing.
Yes,
people are actually naming people.
Yeah. How many names have you got? You've got something like 30-odd names, haven't you?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but it's certainly quite a high number. And what's important is a lot of those are in the southwest area, so it's not all over the country.
And are any calls specifically linking it with a Kate Bushell?
Not that we've heard to date. It's really most of it's identifying the people, either the white van or the photo fit.
Right.
But it'll take us time to go through them, obviously, and find out for certain.
Well, that's good. So we'll talk about the number of calls you've had.
Yeah.
The fact that you've had calls from professionals in business suggesting some local names being mentioned. And
sure. A lot of stuff for us to follow up at the end of the day, which is what's important.
A massive response to this appeal. Many, many calls. Most of them about one thing, though, weren't they?
That's right. We had a tremendous response to white van who had a beard.
He was about 50 years old, with a round face and a full bushy brown beard flecked with grey. He appeared to be quite big and seemed to be wearing a waxed green jacket.
But he didn't look at me. His eyes were looking towards the road or Lynn's car. And I thought, funny thing.
And I remember it because it slowly reversed back towards me here and followed the Sierra down the road, very, calculated.
You had other points you wanted people to kind of jog their memories on, didn't you?
Yes, most importantly, there was a sighting of Linda at the crossroads near to the Ruan High Lanes Chapel at about 1:45 with a man in light clothing. That's probably the last time that Linda was seen alive with anybody. There were other sightings of somebody in light clothing, and we also put out an artist's impression of somebody seen on the A3078, and those appear to have been missed, and no one's come forward yet with information, and we'd like them to.
As I approached him, he sort of turned around and looked at me and just looked odd.
3 weeks ago, could this have been you? 5'10", early 30s, short hair, square-jawed, dark eyebrows.
When he looked at me, I just remember thinking, I wouldn't pick you up even if you were hitchhiking.
So although you've had a lot of calls, what's the quality of the calls been like? Has it taken this investigation on?
Well, it's early to say yet. We haven't had the call that says this is the person, although quite a few names have been put into the frame, probably several hundred. And it will take time to go through those. I'm just hoping that the person we want is within the system, and eventually we will get to him.
Well, having lots of calls, does that sometimes slow an investigation down?
It does do. I mean, we can't get any. There's no way around that, really.
No, you'd rather they came.
Absolutely, because although it will take us time, perhaps 2 or 3 months to get through them all, if he's in there, then we'll find him.
If you can help, police would like to hear from you on 01392 451 004.
For this next attack, there appeared to be no motive whatsoever. The two men involved could be as incompetent as they are violent, because the police think that they may have mistaken their victim for somebody else altogether.
Here, go and have a quick wash, yeah, before 10. Yeah?
Is he in?
He had really, really strong, big eyes. He was medium built, very smart. I'd say he was about 5'8", 5'9". He was between 30 to 32.
Oh, my God! Get out!
I had the camera in my hands and I thought, do I take a picture? Don't I? If I had taken a picture, they'd have turned on both myself and my friend. There must have been a motive. It wasn't random. And if it was mistaken identity, who was the intended victim? And incidentally, note the tracksuit trousers. One witness thinks that there were 2 yellow stripes down them, not the usual 3 you get with most in this style.
Jim, was it a case of mistaken identity?
We don't know. I think it must have been, because there was no reason for this woman to be attacked. She has no links with the criminal world. It was in a quiet back street. I think the attackers must have thought they were going to the address of somebody else.
If that is the case, has the person that the attack was intended for come forward at all?
I haven't heard all the reports yet, but I haven't heard that she has.
Is it likely that this person would come forward?
It may well be. It's now been a few months, and that person may feel by helping us to catch the attackers, it prevents any further attack on herself.
Lots of new leads on the tracksuit trousers. They found the suppliers and are checking shops now, but this could take ages. But still, they haven't had a call to confirm whether it was a case of mistaken identity. So if you've got any information, please call the Orpington Incident Room on 0181 284 8187. That's 0181 284 8187. The studio appeals usually get a result quite quickly, because all we need to do is find out where someone is or put a name to a face. Now, we still need your help on a couple of cases this month. First of all, a nasty crime in Hampshire where a man was stabbed in the chest and hit over the head with a bottle. Police would like to speak to Peter Clark, who might have some information about the attack. He's 5'10", thin-built and has a Southampton accent. Call if you know where he is, but don't approach him because he could be violent. The number to ring is 01703 674 383. That's 01703 674 383. Now take a look at this man whose appearance is very deceptive, and you'd probably trust him. He's smart and he says he's a company director, but is trying to pass forged cheques around the country, including places like Bristol, Surrey and London. He's a big guy at 6 foot with broad shoulders. If you can help catch this well-dressed fraudster, call 01883 344 789. That's 01883 344 789.
Now, tonight's final case is extremely upsetting. A series of sex attacks on children, and it produced an amazing response. The police have had more than 700 calls. With me is DCI Paul Brown.
Hello.
Paul is heading up the investigation, and in a moment we'll be hearing from him and how those calls may have produced some leads that they're following up. But let's return to the night that the reconstruction film was played out. It was a very moving film.
He was soaking wet, in shock. What hurts me the most is that he sat for hours in boots that were filled with water, and he didn't even tell me. I had to bath him. He was too traumatised to do anything for himself, and I told him that I was going to wash this man out of his body. Then he'd be my little boy again. That evening, he just laid there like a frightened animal, staring at everybody.
Nick, a very harrowing reconstruction to put together.
Absolutely, yes. Very difficult to put together. It's just appalling, really, the ferocity of the cases, the fact that they are all linked, and the fact that it is, and the police are certain it is the same man has committed the 3 offences, and there's 4 children basically involved in this, three offences, and also, all the parents. I mean, it's affected them so badly.
Now, you're a parent yourself. That must have been quite difficult in actually trying to put this together with young child actors.
Absolutely, you have to be very careful with children. You basically can't tell them anything, and why would you want to anyway? I mean, you have to protect their innocence as much as anything, and the little children did very well. They really did very well.
And yet give enough information for people to latch on to certain clues.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we have to stick very closely to what actually happened in terms of the dialogue that was said, because we're trying to raise as many ready clues as possible.
Since the end of 1994, there's been a series of sex attacks on children all on the North East London-Essex borders, with one of the parents explaining the grief and the bewilderment experienced by so many families. Our reconstruction speaks for itself. What we have to do tonight is find the offender.
I got a new dog yesterday. Where'd you get it? The shop round the corner. Yeah. That shop sells those lollipops, which are really nice. Yeah.
Hiya. Do you like climbing trees?
Yeah.
Do you want me to take to see some better trees? I know a little tree that we can climb.
Okay.
The girls felt he was a nice man. He seemed friendly, not threatening. And I think that's why the girls went with him in the first place.
Only over there. Come on.
It's when they got to the adjacent woods with Claybury Hospital that the girls realised that they really had gone too far.
That White House over there, that's the mental hospital, isn't it?
No, that's not the hospital. That's it. That's where people get killed.
It's a type of a confidence trick.
There's something over there. Just over there.
No, we've gone too far now. Can we go home now?
Yeah, sure. Come on, this way. Now, I've done you a favour. Can you do me a favour? Come on.
The girls obviously felt obliged to do what he asked them to do. It was again, a manipulative thing. I'm pretty sure the girls were completely terrified. I don't think they were in any position to offer any resistance. They were alone, such a horrific assault.
This time, the man forced oral sex upon both his little victims.
To get home from here, you go straight on and then right.
What he actually did to the girls was to strip them of their innocence. He went in there 2 9-year-old girls, and it's something that I'm sure they'll never forget for the rest of their lives.
It's so distressing, this. Who specifically are you appealing to?
Care workers, principally. We do believe this man has spent some time in care or some form of institution.
We've got a second artist's impression, this one done by one of the victims, one of the children. Tell us about his physical appearance.
He's ginger-haired, and we've had that all the way through the descriptions. 5'6" to 5'10". He's clean and cared for, clean appearance. He speaks quite slowly, which may indicate possibly some form of educational problem.
But he can't that might fit. It might fit because there's, I'm saying this lighter colour ginger, this fairer colour. Who knows?
He said it was punky. He cut punky style at one stage. But, we're going back.
Someone needs to speak to the officer.
We're going back quite a way.
It's us specifically.
In which case?
Ilford. Yeah, we does. Woba. Is there someone else who can take this call?
Is it urgent?
Hello.
All right.
Can you hold for 1 second?
I think it
I
might
do
have been
apologise.
him.
I'm just trying to get over.
And did you speak to him, or do you know him? You just recognise him when you saw him tonight? Okay, you down.
Hello, how can I help you?
I wanted him to give a nickname so that if he called back to you, you'd know who it was, the guy that gave you information. But he said, I didn't even have to ring, mate. I thought, well,
that's right.
We did our best.
Did inform it already? Somebody else.
You've got names. You must be very optimistic now.
Well, yes. I've always felt that this guy was available to us. Somebody somewhere knew him.
And lots of information so early on must mean there's lots more to come. You must be hoping.
I hope so. I know my office back at the police station is very, very busy. The phone's very busy here, and so obviously there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of support for us.
Paul, you looked delighted 2 weeks ago. Lots of calls came in. You've sifted through some of them.
Yes.
You're still delighted? Things going on?
Yes, very much so. Amazing response, tremendous response. We've had in excess of 700 calls now. The quality of the calls is fantastic.
Have they given you names?
Yes, quite a lot of people have given us names or given us sufficient to identify an individual that we can go and talk to and then go through the DNA swabbing process.
I was going down past the car drum and turning right into the lane. All of a sudden, as I crossed into the lane, the beginning of the lane, a man stepped out in front of the car. The hair, it was very distinctive. It was a strawberry blonde ginger. It wasn't a proper ginger. It was a very distinctive colour. There's not that many people that you see that colour. I stood there for a good few seconds and then turned round and started walking round to the passenger side as if he was coming in to get into the car. I just sort of swerved the car round him and off I went.
We're happy with the description, we're happy with the artist's impression that we displayed, but some of our research suggests he may not be what everybody expects to be, a criminal or a fiend. He may just be somebody that makes you feel uncomfortable. There's something about him that makes you feel uncomfortable, and I would still like people to phone in, please.
There's a lot of pressure on you and your men and women to find this man, isn't there? Because you've obviously frightened a lot of people.
I don't think we've frightened them. I think we've made them very much aware, and what we have tried to do is actually balance that anxiety with a little bit of proactive police work, if you like, in the sense that we have done our surveillance, we've done our patrols, but we've also gone into the schools through the local authorities to try and just enforce, if you like, the stranger rules. Don't go with strangers, be aware. So we've tried to balance that. I think the reconstruction has actually brought it alive to people. There have been reports before circulated, but this has brought it alive. And the mother particularly, if you like, she's spoken for every mother in the country, let alone the east of London.
Children are just so wonderfully innocent. They see life as black and white, and you can think back when you was a child, you just cannot imagine something so awful, and he was just a little boy. You crush yourself because you're so frightened that your child is going to grow up into an adult that's going to be so screwed up through what's happened to him. And I wished it had been me and not him. I just wished it had been me.
She was telling people and talking about, I suppose, every mother's concern and fear, every family's concern and fear.
And if you think you have any information that can help the police find this attacker, please call 0181 345 2696. That's 0181 345 2696. Well, that's it for this month's Crimewatch Extra. Join us next month for more reappeals, reconstructions and hopefully news of some arrests.
If you've got any information on any crime at all, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.
Thousands of you rang into this month's programme. Just one call really can make a difference. From us for now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
How do you feel you're served by your supermarket? Do you feel the big chains have too much power, or are quality and convenience worth much more? Whatever your view, First Say would like to hear from you here on BBC Choice in 10 minutes.